Hello, friends and family, strangers and acquaintances, my future children, and my future self. In this entry, Lex and I talk about our friendship, what being a best friend means to us, and just overall the power of friendship. We discuss how loyalty matters to the both of us, and how someone who you would consider your best friend for the majority of your life can still end in a falling out. Not being very fond of my own family growing up, I particularly hold friends near and dear to my heart, because they are the family I chose. My mom used to try to tell me that friends only stay during the good times, but when times are bad, family is what you'll have. But I truly believe she was projecting her own insecurities and bad experiences onto me. I believe in choosing genuinely good people to surround myself with, which is definitely easier said than done. It takes a lot of time and effort to really get to know someone. And it's true that trust can take years to build and seconds to break, which has really shaped how I want to be as a friend to others. Let's dive a little deeper into this with Lex and go all in. So no one told you life was gonna be this way. We are talking about the power of friendship. And I'm joined as always with my beautiful, lovely girlfriend, Lex.
Hi.
Hello, hello.
I love the intro.
Thank you. I'm sorry to those who don't like Friends, or even more sorry if you didn't know that was from Friends.
Yeah.
Great show. But yeah, today we're talking about friendship, and I'm joined by my best friend, which I think is quite fitting.
Yes, definitely.
So how about we start with how you and I became friends?
Okay.
How did we become friends?
How did we become friends?
So if you haven't heard the previous episode where we talked about Chick-fil-A, that's obviously how we met.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember part of our core friendship was hanging out after our shifts, which would conveniently line up a lot of the times.
Yeah, I'd say most of the time.
And we would hang out after our shifts, maybe have some food, and we would look through, I think it was Twitter. There used to be an account called CFA Problems, CFA standing for Chick-fil-A, and just relate to all the other employee struggles.
Yeah, those were great. Those were so fun.
Yeah, we would just bond over like our struggles at work. And eventually that was a little bit of the gateway into deeper conversations.
Yeah. And we would like talk for hours.
Yeah, we would. And we talked so long inside my car or your car.
Mostly your car.
Mostly my car. So long that I really have to piss. You know where I'm going with this.
Yeah, I know the story.
This was very, very early into our friendship to where like I wasn't super comfortable. Like we were having such a great time with our conversations, but I really had to go. And
it was late as fuck.
It was really late at night.
Yeah.
And
so like nothing was open.
Right. Except for like our local convenience store. Shout out Wawa, not sponsored. Could be.
Hopefully. That'd be cool.
Wawa, sponsor us. Or else I'm going to Sheetz.
Oh my God. The debate.
But yeah, nothing would have been open. And I really had to go right then and there. So for context, we were parked in the parking lot. And I just remember turning to Lex being like, I'm so sorry, but I have to pee really bad. So I'm going to exit the car now and just pee in that tree over there. And
yeah.
that was definitely, I didn't know at the time, but it was a testament to our friendship. Like,
oh yeah.
is she going to be cool with this? Is she going to be like, yo, what the fuck? Or
I wasn't gonna knock you for having to pee. Like, that's fine. I was like, you gotta go, you gotta go.
I was
whatever.
like, this is going to be make or break. Like, she's either never going to talk to me after this.
I thought it was funny.
Oh, that best case scenario right there. Yeah. I'm so glad
I was like,
you thought it was funny.
I would much rather you have just like peed somewhere and then not like held it. No.
Yeah, because I was holding it for hours. I was just like, I gotta hold it, But also, like, I didn't want to like end the conversation abruptly and then just like race home or like race to a Wawa. Mm-hmm. So I just went in a tree.
Yep.
That was somewhat close-ish to us. I tried to pick a tree that was like far-ish away. And of course, luckily, no one else was in the parking lot with us.
Yeah, it was like there was no one around.
Yeah,
so it was like,
just us.
Whatever.
So the only person's judgment I feared was Lex's.
And turns out I didn't care much at all.
Thank God. And here we are now.
Yeah.
What, 8 years later?
Yeah, for real.
So what do you remember from our early days of friendship?
A lot of the same, really. It's much of what you said. But yeah, just a lot of talking, a lot of conversations.
Right.
I remember that night at Carluccio's.
Oh my gosh.
I still think about that sometimes.
Oh yeah, that definitely unlocked a memory in me. So we're at this pizzeria place called Carluccio's, which is near us, which actually was featured on Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives with Guy Fieri. Mm-hmm. So kind of a famous-ish place. Mm-hmm. And we're having some good pizza. And that was one of the days where I was doing a cow mascot event. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So usually on those days, I bring/wear shorts to work because I'm going to be hot in that suit.
Yeah.
And, after my shift and everything, it was nighttime. That's when we were having pizza. It got cold. And I had the hindsight, thankfully, to put my pants back on before it got cold. Because I was wearing, it was like, like work pants, like black slacks.
Yeah.
And I remember as we were having the pizza, I turned to Lex and I said, I'm glad I wore pants.
Yeah, you were like, I'm glad I wore pants today.
Yeah. And the waitress overheard that. Eyes wide and eyebrows like up. And she just walked away while making the sign of the cross.
Yeah.
And Lex brings up that story from time to time, and it seems to be a very pivotal moment in our relationship as far as times where I've made you laugh.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And that was unintentional. That was a very matter of fact. I wasn't trying to crack a joke.
Yeah, no. That made it better.
Or maybe I was. I can't remember what my intent was. I'm sure.
No, you said it real matter of factly.
I did?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was probably just off the cuff, this is just your first thought that, and then the waitress.
And I was trying to explain the waitress. I was like, no.
Yeah.
Wait, I can explain, but no, she wandered off,
She was like,
muttering
okay,
prayers
we're
or
good.
whatnot. Yeah.
We're
She's
good.
like, I've heard enough.
Yeah.
I've seen it all.
Yeah, I'm done. It was great. And that definitely was a pivotal moment, just because it kind of foreshadowed a lot of more of what was to come.
Right.
Lots of us sitting around, eating something, talking a lot, cracking jokes. Unintentionally or not.
Dude, that's the best.
Yeah, it is the best.
Sitting around, eating a lot, talking a lot, cracking jokes.
Yeah.
I feel like to us, that's very much quality time.
Yeah, pretty much.
And it doesn't have to be somewhere, fancy.
No.
Although we do fancy a melting pot.
Oh, yeah. Or a K-pot.
Oh, yes.
All of our
Korean
fancy
barbecue.
places that we go to have pot in it, I guess.
Chef's kiss. But we also just getting Chick-fil-A and eating in our cars.
Yeah, or Chipotle.
Chipotle, please. In all seriousness, please sponsor us. I will advertise for free. So you might as well sponsor me.
Yeah, we like Chipotle.
We love Chipotle. We love it. We love it. I love it. But anyway, whether it's sit down or in the car, we love bonding over food. Mm-hmm. For sure.
Yeah, it's definitely true.
But yeah, let's talk about what friendship means to the both of us.
Okay.
Because we've had conversations in the past where friendship is a little bit different to us. And I've also mentioned to you how, you have really defined, or I should say redefined, what a best friend is to me. Mm-hmm. But let's start off with what friendship means to the both of us. So
Okay.
I guess in your mind, what is a friend?
I consider somebody a friend if I can go to them with anything, like intimate details, talk about my life, could show up on their doorstep at like 3 a.m, kind of situation.
Yeah.
Like, I don't super truly consider anyone like my friend unless I can share like my personal like life with you and my thoughts and everything. I don't really like surface level friendship. Like, I want to be able to get to like the deeper stuff underneath.
So yeah, for me, there are different levels of friends and friendship. And to me, you're describing like very high levels of friendship. Because I can still consider you my friend without some of the criteria you described.
Yeah, my standards are a bit high.
Right. Well, maybe my standards are low because, my fundamental need to be liked. So like, as long as like
That makes sense.
you somewhat like me, we can be friends.
You're good. Yeah.
But yeah, so I feel like something that is maybe a little bit of an unpopular opinion of mine is that, how some people really don't like when people only reach out to you when they need something? Mm-hmm. For me, depending on who you are to me, that's totally fine with me. Unless you need something, I think we're good just seeing our posts on Facebook and then maybe wishing each other a happy birthday once a year. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, like, I don't need to be in like constant contact with you, or you don't need to like be there for me. Like, you could still be my friend. But then comes into question, like, there are friends. Well, really, there are acquaintances, then friends, then I would say maybe like dear friends,
Well,
and
like
then
good friends.
right, and then the highest is for like best friends.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I would say that I more or less have that opinion. I don't think that you need to be in constant contact with someone to be like friends with them necessarily.
Right, because there are some people in my life where, yeah, we definitely don't talk. We talk, I don't know, a few times a year.
Yeah.
But I would, if they needed something and I could do it, yeah, I would definitely do it.
Yeah, for sure. I think that not always, but a lot of times, especially if it's friendships you've had for years, you kind of understand as an adult, like, things happen, things come up, and, like, life happens, and you can't always get together. I don't think that doesn't necessarily mean it diminishes your friendship or like the care that you have for one another.
Exactly. Right.
It just grows into like a different stage.
Yeah. And I've been described as a very loyal person.
Mm. Me too.
When it comes to friendship and the friends I have. Mm. And I'm pretty sure you've told me in the past that you value loyalty.
Yeah.
Which bodes well for me. So
yeah, it definitely bodes well for you. Yeah, and things like that have definitely colored my experience for sure. I've had a lot of experiences in my life where people would just kind of like drop me like it's hot, and I feel like that's kind of shitty. And whether it be my ex-girlfriend or whether it be my ex-best friend, or even just regular ex-friends. I've had that happen enough times where I feel like I'm very particular about who I choose to have as my friends, but I also kind of have like high expectations, so I feel like that maybe makes it difficult. But yeah, loyalty is definitely a high criteria.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, so as you've mentioned in the past, you've lived in 3 states.
Yep.
And I assume you've made friends in all 3 states.
Yeah.
What is that like? Sort of navigating friendship through
Long
all
distance.
those. Yeah. I guess long distance friendships.
It's definitely not always the easiest, especially if some of your friends aren't great at texting.
Call them out.
Yeah, I'm not going to say names in particular,
No,
but you
we
know
won't,
who
we
you
won't.
are.
You know who you are.
But yeah, no, some of my friends in California, at least, some of them I talk to, some of them it used to be a daily basis when we were long distance. Now it's not so much anymore. Now it's more of like a weekly or like monthly basis. But some of them I won't even talk to for like 6 months, sometimes a year, and then we'll catch up out of nowhere and we're still just as solid as we ever were. I guess sometimes when you build that foundation, you kind of always know that you're friends.
Right. I think that's a very good testament to how strong the friendship is. If you can say that. Do you feel like you lean more towards guy friends, girlfriends, non-binary friends?
Well, I am a friend to all the peoples, all kinds.
Well, yeah, so am I. But I sort of meant like in your experience.
In my experience, I definitely lean more towards guy friends. Not even necessarily because I prefer that. It just sort of organically tends to happen that way. I'm not really sure why, but I would really like to have more girlfriends. But being friends with girls sometimes is hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is that?
It's sometimes hard to like connect, I think, at least for me. Sometimes it's hard to connect with like girlfriends or just girls, I guess in general. I don't exactly know why. I've just never super connected with a lot of girlfriends, at least recently. In the past, I've had girlfriends who I was super, super close to, like best friends, someone I would consider my best friend. But since that point, I haven't really had very many girlfriends or even very like close female friendships. Like, at least not as close as I was with these particular people. Yeah, I don't know. It's sometimes harder to make connections just in general, but.
Right. And now as we're getting into our later 20s,
Yeah, that's weird.
it is quite different making friends as an adult.
Yeah, much different.
Because you don't have that
commonalities with people.
The sort of forced environment of
pretty
like
much
school.
Yeah, school.
That forced proximity, I should say.
Yeah.
Where like you're seeing a bunch of people every day, kind of the same people, but still, a lot. And then, I mean, you have your jobs, but other than that, that's sort of it.
Yeah.
And I know like some dating apps can also be used to just meet friends and whatnot, but
yeah, exactly.
I'm not sure exactly how successful that is because, well, to be honest, for the past 6 years, I haven't been on a dating app because I haven't had a reason.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But hey, I'm not complaining about that.
Yeah, I mean, for real.
I'm glad to be ignorant of the world of Tinder. Ignorance is bliss.
Yeah, for real. Also, a little bit of a side note, but kind of in the similar vein is, I know with me, it's very, like, I sometimes don't know exactly when I've crossed that, like, a threshold into friendship with somebody. Like, I feel like that's a little bit sometimes hard to judge. So, like, sometimes I'll have, like, really good conversations with some people, but I feel like, does that make us friends? Like, I don't really know. Like,
was that just a good moment, or is this
the
beginning of something?
Exactly. And I definitely find those sorts of moments hard to gauge. And I'm just generally like an anxious person, so it
I get that.
Doesn't always help things.
I get that.
Yeah.
When would you say we crossed that threshold?
Oh, I don't know.
Was it the pants thing?
Well, that was probably part of it. I don't know. Maybe like the 3rd or 4th or 5th time that we hung out for hours and never ran out of things to talk about. I feel like that was a pretty good indication of, oh, we're friends, or like there's something here, because like there's only been a handful of times in my entire life where I've been able to just go on forever with somebody, you know?
The start of something new.
Exactly.
Yeah, those were definitely great moments that I do miss a little bit, like just hanging out and talking in our car. But
Yeah.
like now we live together, so it's just like
Now we're sitting here talking and doing a podcast.
and doing the podcast. So
turning those conversations into a podcast.
yeah, publicizing our early friendship days.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of what we've talked about is just conversations that we've had in general before.
Right.
Like a lot of this podcast is made up of conversations we've had or we've wanted to have.
Right. Yeah, a lot of these are, like you said, conversations we've already had, but we're just sort of getting out into the world, or at least documenting how we feel. Mm-hmm. Do you remember who your first friend was ever?
My very first friend ever?
Ever.
Well, that's a little bit difficult. Not because I don't remember, but because I don't know exactly how to quantify that. Where I remember like the first friends I had, I guess like on my street, like when I was a kid. But then also I remember like the first like, I guess like serious friend, like someone I would have considered my best friend, who that was. So I guess, yes, I remember.
Do you want to talk about them?
Sure.
Like
I guess,
how they became your first friend?
yeah. Well,
maybe where they are now.
I guess like the more serious friend, I'll talk about more, because that they had more of like an impact on me, other than more of an impact in general. I don't really know how we met. I don't really remember. It was school more than likely, and they would always like invite me over to their house, and we would do it. We used to always like draw together. Weirdly enough, this person that I was like one of my first friends is the cousin of the person I would have considered like my best friend for the majority of like, I don't know, my life until I met you. Really, they're like related, which is really fucking weird.
Your first friend, let me make sure I'm getting this straight. Your first friend is related to / the cousin of who you would consider to have been your best friend for most of your life until me.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's a weird fact, but yeah. Yeah, we used to draw together, hang out. We used to read manga. She's
cool.
Like the whole reason I read manga really as a kid.
I didn't know what manga was until I was a teen.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
That's funny. I read a lot of like Sailor Moon and stuff because of her. And we would draw together. She is a great artist, is still an artist, does a lot of comic books. We still talk on occasion, but not like, we're not super close anymore.
Okay.
But yeah, we went to school together. I always go over her house. Yeah, we didn't have a lot of like deep conversations, like not that I really remember, but yeah, it was a pleasant time.
That's good. At least, even if you drifted apart, it's not like ended on like bad terms, right?
No, not with her. No, I mean, I'm sure it was a little bit awkward there that I considered her cousin my best friend for a really, really long time, but I think we got over that animosity or that awkwardness like pretty quickly. Like it was just kind of like, it is what it is kind of situation.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's many hard feelings, at least not now.
That's good. I do remember my first friend ever. He was a kid that lived on my street, more specifically behind me, like the house that was adjacently behind my house. So our backyards were connected to each other.
Yeah.
And I just remember like, I don't know if it literally has been so long. So I'm not sure if this is entirely accurate, but from what I'm recalling at this current moment, from what I remember, I don't think the kids on my street were very nice to me.
Oh.
Except for this guy.
That's
this one
sad.
guy. And he invited me over to his house, I believe. And that's where he showed me, I think he was who showed me video games.
Really?
Specifically, we played on his Nintendo 64.
Ah, nice.
I'm pretty sure we played some
Classic.
James Bond games.
That's great.
Yeah.
I love that.
And then the Xbox came out. And he showed me Halo.
Oh.
Which is a big part of my life now, which I'm sure in the future entry I will touch on. How Halo is a big part of my life right now.
Yeah.
I just looked down on my shirt to see if I was still in my one Halo shirt, but I'm actually not. But yeah, so he has played a defining part in my life, even though like we really don't talk too much anymore. But we did not end on negative terms by any means. Like if I saw him, I'd be overjoyed to come up to him and greet him and talk to him, see how he's doing. And oh, he also got me into RuneScape, by the way.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
RuneScape and Halo were like my two biggest like games growing up, and I've definitely fallen off of RuneScape, but I still play Halo.
Yeah. Crazy what like people get you into, you know?
Yeah. And it was all just because he, was not a dick to me.
Yeah, pretty much. Like,
Not like the other kids.
yeah, common interests and everything.
Yeah.
That's another thing I like to talk about. It's just like bullying in general. Like,
Yeah.
another topic
That's
for another time, but
Yeah, it's another
just something to think about.
great topic. But yeah, I had to bring up a small story that like I don't remember, but his mom would constantly tell me that it was like one of the funny stories she remembers. It goes something along the lines of, I went to his house and I think his mom asked me what my name was, and then I told her my name, and then I think she asked me where I lived, because I'm sure that's a fairly normal question. If your son's bringing this one kid in to play or whatnot,
You're like, where do
I'm
I
sure
return you?
the parent, yeah, right. Where do I return you? I have the receipt. No, I'm sure the parent would want to know, like roughly where I'm from. Am I close or whatnot?
Yeah.
And then I think my response to her was, my parents told me not to talk to strangers.
Oh my God. That's
So here I
funny.
am. I've already introduced myself and I'm in their house, but I draw I draw the line at telling you where I live. It's just like, hey lady, that's too personal.
Too many details you're asking for.
For context, I was probably 6 or 7, maybe.
I love that.
I was not.
That's so funny.
I don't think I was. I couldn't have been double digits yet. I doubt it.
Oh my God, that's great. That's so
But
funny.
yeah, she
I'm sure she got a kick out of that.
loves telling that story, and I'm sure I told it wrong. I'm pretty sure I did, but that was my response to one of her questions.
That's great. I love that.
Like
That's so funny.
my parents told me not to talk to strangers, but yeah, here I am in your house.
Yeah, I mean, your house. I mean, that's like with the hindsight of an adult. Like,
Right.
not like a kid. You're like, why is this random lady talking? Like, who is this lady? Why is she talking to me? Even though, like, you don't have the wherewithal to be like, oh, I'm in this person's house right now.
Yeah. That was my first friend, and obviously you are my best friend, but if I were to think of another who would be my next best friend underneath you, I still consider him part of my top friends, even though we hadn't spoken in, it might have been a few years now, just because of that core foundation, how he was a childhood friend, my first friend, and how meeting him still has ripples in my life now.
Yeah, those relationships definitely have an impact.
But yeah, I did want to ask you about who you considered your best friend for the majority of your life, before you met me. And what their story is.
Well, we met in 6th grade. Technically, that's a little untrue. We actually went to the same kindergarten too, but we found that out way later. But for all intents and purposes, we met in 6th grade. Like, that's kind of where things started. Yeah, we became pretty inseparable through 6th grade, 7th grade. Like, we were very, very close. We would sleep over each other's houses, and we knew each other's parents and stuff and siblings and all of that.
Did you bond over anything specific, or was it just like, oh, you're cool, let's hang?
Kind of like it was kind of like that, but also just we were, I don't know, it just felt like a connection, like we were drawn like to each other, and we would just talk. Like we had this track. It was a lot like our beginnings of our friendship, where we would walk and talk and just keep doing that. Like instead of, sitting in cars like we had, we would just walk around this track where we would stay up really late having sleepovers and talking. And I can't even like remember specifically what we would talk about. I do remember we talked a lot about like video games and like Sims and things. We both really like Sims and like creating like families and like houses and stuff and interior design and like all of that. But yeah, we would just kind of talk about everything, like anything you could really think of. And this became like a very pivotal friendship when it came to my own like queerness and also her own queerness, because we are both queer like in this on that spectrum. But yeah, we were super, super close. And even when I moved, like we remained friends and kept in contact. And I'd always visit her like during the summers, like me and my family would always visit, and stay down at the shore, and we would always hang out, and we'd have just more of the same, like more sleepovers. And
I'm just going to interject for a second. That reminded me of how my first friend, as I mentioned, he lived right behind me. Mm-hmm. Our backyards connected. Well, they didn't connect. We had fences, but they were touching each other. Yeah. Otherwise, we would write to each other in the mail.
That's cute.
And actually mail it. Not like just walk over to their mailbox and put it in. No, like we
put a stamp on it.
Yeah, and now I think I'm like, wow, that mail person must have been so like
confused,
being like, what the? You paid postage for this?
I hope the mail person was like, maybe like looked at the writing and was like, oh, cute kids writing to each other or something. Like maybe they thought that it was a cute thing.
Yeah,
That's really funny. It's a great interjection.
Yeah, but continue.
Yeah, we remained friends and we stayed close, and we'd always, I would, she visited me once in California, I think, and I visited her like pretty much every summer. And then I think once during Christmas, I'm pretty sure. We did a lot of things, like we would make each other stuff, and I always made her like scrapbooks, and she would like buy me a lot of picture frames and things of like pictures we had taken together. I told her pretty much everything. Yeah, she was definitely like one of my biggest like influences, like especially when I was younger, like, and just someone I felt like at the time, especially, I could always rely on. That became not so much the truth once we became older.
Spill the tea.
Spill the tea. Well, I mean, as things happen, like things get more complicated. She came out way before me. I remember her coming out and her being really, really nervous, actually, because I guess that wasn't really something that we had ever discussed or like talked about, like my views or like just our views in general on like queer people.
So did you not know she was?
No.
Until she came out? Until she
told me. Well, I had a feeling that she may not necessarily been gay, because I don't think I thought of that stuff in those sorts of terms then. I think at the time we were maybe like max 13 or 14. And it's funny because at this time I was also considering like, oh, am I gay? Am I straight? Like, where am I on like the sexuality kind of spectrum? But, she was also thinking about that. And it's funny because we met in a Catholic school, and we had actually gotten bullied or like taunted or whatever a lot by one boy in particular who would always say, oh, like we're gay or we're lesbians or lesbos or whatever the fuck, like that shit, kind of shit. And like we were like, at this point, like, I don't know, like 11, 12 max. And like we didn't really think about any of that. It just was ironic that we all fell somewhere on the spectrum of queerness.
Yeah,
like,
I was gonna say
like it just
ultimately was right.
He ultimately was right, even though he was kind of a dick. But
yeah.
But even so, it just is a weird coincidence, and our relationship has a lot of coincidences like that. Kind of like, you know, the cousin, me being friends with her cousin, and then us becoming super close. And then she also lived in the same like development as me, like when we were kids, but I had no idea. Like that's another thing that was really weird. And now we have the whole queer thing. It's just really, really interesting. And so we had a lot of like commonality in that way anyway. And yeah, her coming out to me was, you know, I think that only made us stronger kind of thing. And that kind of opened up the door for me to talk about how I was feeling with like my sexuality and stuff, which that conversation was pretty much just, oh, well, you got to figure it out for yourself kind of thing. Not that it was like not helpful, but you know, at the end of the day, like that advice is accurate. Like you have to determine that stuff for yourself.
I hope you don't mind me asking this, but did you ever have feelings for each other?
She had feelings for me. I entertain the idea of feelings. And with that, it's more like, I don't think I ever had true, genuine feelings for her in that way, at least. Because for me, it was very difficult to, like, make that leap into, like, a romantic kind of situation because, like, at this point, like, too, I wasn't really much thinking about that. Like, I was just kind of trying to determine whether, like, where am I in this mixed bag of, like, sexual orientations, you know? Like, I just was trying to figure out me. And that comes into play much later. But there was definitely moments where you could kind of infer, like, that she had feelings for me and like I kind of always knew that, like, in the back of my head, but, like, we never acted on any of that. I think it definitely could have went that direction if
I didn't come into the picture.
Not even that, like, if one of us just had, like, the audacity.
The audacity?
To, like, do something about it. Yeah, because,
that's a funny way to put it, but yeah.
But I mean, because there were plenty of opportunities. Like, we were alone a lot of the time. We slept in the same bed. Like, there was plenty of opportunities for, if not for it to get super physical, like sex, which I don't think it would have ever gotten there because we were pretty young. But also, like, you know, there could have been more chaste things, like a kiss or whatever. Like, none of that really happened. There were definitely moments where it was close.
Oh, shit.
But it was never
serious.
Never serious. It was never, like, we never talked about that until much later. We didn't talk about, like, having feelings for each other or, like, attraction for each other. But in hindsight, if we had, I don't know, maybe we still would be friends. I don't know. So
I guess that alludes to, are you guys still friends?
Not really. I mean, we're in and out of each other's lives. She's definitely tried to establish the connection again. I have definitely been very, very, for lack of a better word, flaky on my end, because I just simply, like, from the fallout that we had, I just can't go there with her again. I can't, like, trust her the way I used to. Like, she's hurt me so deeply that I just, like, my trust was just absolutely fucking obliterated when we eventually broke off our friendship, which I say we because, like, she obviously had a part in the break off, but I was the one who initiated the stopping of contact because it was getting too much. It was terrible for my mental health.
Do you want to unpack that a little bit?
Sure. From where, though?
Wherever you feel comfortable.
Well, I guess I'll go back a bit, and I moved from California to Texas, and a lot of shit happened in between that whole thing. I came out to my friends. I came out to my family. I got a girlfriend. And then after that, we moved back to New Jersey. And that is kind of where things started to fall apart for me and her. She had a girlfriend. She'd been dating this girl for most of high school, actually. I think like maybe sophomore year they got together. I'm not 100% sure. But I came back for my senior year of high school. And she had been dating this girl for like probably 2-ish years, about that. Kind of on and then off and on and off kind of situation. This girl, very jealous. Very, very jealous. Just in general of like everyone, but especially me. I don't know if it's because she had some sort of feeling or notion or gut reaction or whatever to me, like that she knew that my best friend at the time had feelings for me. I don't know. I don't know if they ever explicitly had a conversation about it, but she really did not like me and felt super uncomfortable around me, and me by extension felt super uncomfortable around her. And all of that shit unfortunately went unsaid because it was just super awkward between me and my best friend's girlfriend. But like, I never really talked to my best friend about it because it was like, well, I don't want to ruin this. They have a relationship, and obviously my best friend cares about this girl. Like, I want to respect that relationship. But the animosity between us was palpable. Like like I didn't really have much hatred towards this girl until later when it kind of came out that she was being like more or less like abusive to my best friend. And that was one of the main reasons why I was like, you need to fucking ditch this like fucking girl. Like, what the hell? Not cool. But that animosity and that like all that stuff that went unsaid, like those sorts of things like kept building and building and building up until it just kind of imploded. It was like a lot of stuff. Like, she thought I didn't like her girlfriend, and I thought she didn't really like my girlfriend, and she thought I was like ditching her for my girlfriend. But I also lived like an hour away from like where she lived. So it was, not exactly easy to get out there. I also didn't drive at this point, so I didn't have a car or my license. And like any attempts for us to hang out really was always kind of like difficult. And there's also a bit of like apprehension and like jealousy around a lot of the stuff because I was a little bit like, her girlfriend was jealous of me, and then I was a little bit jealous of her girlfriend because she was spending so much time with my best friend. And also that not so much her girlfriend didn't really bother me as much as some of her other friends bothered me, because she would invite other people to do things, and like that really kind of bugged me because like my expectations were very high for our friendship and that we would spend a lot of time together when I moved back. And then that simply like didn't happen. Like, that really didn't happen the way that I would have liked it to. And, that was kind of shitty, and I didn't really like that. And she would sometimes like invite people like to things that like she knew that I would like very obvious things like Pride and then like not invite me, or like she would just kind of automatically assume that I wouldn't want to come or like I couldn't come. And like I didn't love that. And our differences began to kind of like divide and multiply as we got older because she got into like drinking a lot more than I preferred. Like, I wasn't really a heavy drinker or really a drinker much at all when I was right out of high school or like college. And so like that was kind of a problem. Like, she kind of fell into a group of people that, would do like kind of parties and stuff.
So here's where I'm going to interject for a second, because I actually have some firsthand experience.
Oh, yeah.
With this, because at the time when she was turning 21, I believe,
mm-hmm.
she was having a birthday party.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe you had asked if, you could bring me along.
Yeah. Because I didn't feel comfortable without somebody there. Because at this point, we had been on and off kind of not really talking too much or fighting or just having a lot of disagreements. And I just told her that I would feel more comfortable if I was able to bring someone who made me more comfortable.
Right. And that was just like, cool. A party, food, games, I'm in. But like I can't remember if I had met her once already or if
I think you had met her
I
once
think I
already.
did meet her once before.
Yeah.
But I really didn't know her.
Yeah.
But I still didn't feel right like coming to her party and not like, getting her something like a gift. I think I got like an iTunes gift card or something. That was when iTunes was a big thing, I think. Or at least still somewhat relevant. But anyway, that's besides the point. So yeah, when I got there, it seemed kind of cool. There was food. I was enjoying that. And I think they were playing Cards Against Humanity, which that's when it was also like somewhat new, and like I'd enjoyed playing with my group of friends, and so I was just like, oh, this is going to be fun.
Hell yeah.
And at some point, like, she had left like the circle where we were playing, and next thing I know, she's just in the bathroom like throwing up.
Yeah, they were
like,
kind of pre-gaming it.
And full transparency, I don't drink. I'm not a drinker, and that's not just because I have anything against drinking. I just don't like the taste of any alcohol really.
We're basically the only sober people at this party.
Right. Like I have never been drunk ever. Not even close. I can't even. Fun fact, I'm someone who also like doesn't drink soda. And it's kind of for the same reasons, because like the carbonation, that fizz hurts going down my throat. It's not a pleasant feeling. And I think it makes sense that I feel the same way about alcohol.
Yeah. With me, I drink sparkling beverages all the fucking time.
Even that I cannot do. Do not put a freaking LaCroix in front of me.
I'm just like, I like the spicy.
Why is it spicy?
But we were like the only fucking sober people at this party, which, fun. But
continue. And at some point, I got makeup put on me.
Oh yeah, that was weird.
It was like a truth or dare situation.
Yeah, truth or dare situation.
And I was just like, well, I think at the time, like, this is where I was starting to like you. And I wanted to, impress you and like get along with your friends or who I thought were your friends.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, I guess I'll take one for the team.
Yeah.
And it was actually her as in your best friend, girlfriend.
But a different girlfriend than the one that was in high school.
Right.
Her college girlfriend.
Her college girlfriend who was putting makeup on me.
Yeah. She didn't like me much either. But that wasn't really because of me. That was more because of the smear campaign that her family and her said about me after shit went down.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, she spent, we got there, and I spent maybe 20, 25 minutes with her, and then she ended up, throwing up and then, leaving and falling asleep upstairs.
Yeah, because she was out.
Yeah, and then we bailed, because I was like, well, I came here for you, and I know basically no one else at this party except her college girlfriend, and she didn't really like me much either. So
I have no idea if this is correct or whatnot, but I feel like something we would do. I feel like this is something we would do. Do we get more food afterwards? I feel like it's very possible we could have hit up Wawa again.
I think we did. Yeah, I think we did. Probably more than likely that's something something we would do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the falling out was kind of like a compounding thing. She dated this girl, her high school girlfriend for ever, and it turned into a really bad situation, and it was so on and off, and there was a bunch of drama when it came to prom, and we were kind of fighting during that time, and so it was a will we, won't we situation if we're all going to prom together or not. Regardless, I was bringing my girlfriend, but she didn't really it was just really awkward because none of us who went to prom together really super liked each other at the time. So it was just kind of a lot of animosity, and I don't even think they were 100% like together at the time. My best friend and her girlfriend, I think like her girlfriend had like either had feelings for her or had feelings for another girl or like cheated on my best friend. Cause I have this distinct memory of my best friend being like, oh, like, you know, her girlfriend wants to get back together or whatever. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me right now? Are you absolutely fucking kidding me? Like, I was livid because I was just like, there's so much shit. Like, she's done so much shit to you. Yeah, it was just like not great. And I was like, you said you weren't going to be with her, like that this wasn't going to be a thing. And they ended up like being together and making out and making up and all that. And I was like, cool. That's fun. I guess it made it less awkward, like for the beach house that we rented for the after prom situation.
Oh shit, that sounds fun.
So that was cool. Yeah.
I didn't do anything fun like that. I just went straight home after prom.
Yeah, no, we rented a beach house, which that was great. But there was even more fights with that because she was under the assumption that we would all do things together. But then me and my girlfriend wanted to like go off and like explore things for ourselves. And when we did that, the other couple that we were with, they were also off by themselves because there were like three of us in this equation. Like
there were three couples.
Three couples, yeah.
I see.
And my best friend and her girlfriend were like still asleep, so we were all just kind of like vibing and doing our own thing, kind of situation. And then when we got back, my best friend was like pissed off, like we went off by ourselves. And I'm like, why are you choosing now to be like super possessive over me, just because I'm with my girlfriend now? Like, there was just a lot of things like that happened.
And there was also no explicit discussion that you would do things together,
yeah,
right?
No, like we didn't have any. I actually thought the opposite, that like, oh, maybe it would be better if we don't. Like, I do remember saying to my girlfriend though that I felt like incredibly uncomfortable, incredibly awkward because, you know, a few weeks before this we were like kind of not talking and like in kind of like a fight, and it was a lot of back and forth and like really tumultuous and just a very difficult time for me. Like when it came to that, because something that was, I found to be so solid was like kind of like crumbling, and that was not great. And then fast forward just a bit to like graduation, and we were kind of like somewhat steady, but when the signing of like yearbooks came, I remember this so vividly because to me, this is kind of like getting to the final straw kind of situation where my best friend said she had, I guess, like saved a page for me to be able to like write whatever I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, oh, this page is for you. Like, you know, right there kind of thing. And it was like, and I had like, you know, wrote what I wanted to write, but then I flipped over and there was like nothing. There were some things written on that page, I think. But there was still some blank space, and I used that extra space to like finish off what I was writing.
There were messages written on the page that she had already told you was for you?
Yeah, but it was kind of like a half a page or like 75% of a page.
When she told you that this page is for you, was there stuff already on it?
Yeah, there was some.
Oh, okay.
Like she
gotcha.
saved a spot for me on that page.
She saved half a page and said this section of the page is for you.
Yeah, it's for me. And then obviously it was like a bottom half of the page, so like I kept going.
Okay.
Like on the flip side, and there wasn't like any note or like indication that page was like saved for somebody else. And she also didn't tell me that. I guess you could maybe infer that like that one spot alone was like for me, but I don't know. Like I didn't take it that way, and she didn't explicitly state that either. So I was like I didn't think it was going to be that big of a deal.
Right.
But turned out it was a huge fucking deal. And it turned into like this big thing, and she like stormed out of the cafeteria because we were like in the cafeteria and we were at the table we normally sat at with like 5 fucking other people, and like she just went off on me, like went off on like you don't like I told you that this one page was for you. And like, now you like went over into like her girlfriend's page. Like it was supposed to be her girlfriend's page or whatever. And like, she was like, you don't listen to me. You don't like care about me. You don't, just saying all these things. And like, it was like just so out of nowhere and like so incredibly hurtful because like she was just like harboring like all this resentment towards me because we hadn't really been talking about that. This goes like communication, so very important because we literally like were not talking about any of our fucking issues. And if we did, it was like just kind of like tiptoeing around our issues. We never like directly addressed anything. And that ended up like blowing up in our faces because I was at this point, I was very much like, okay, yeah, so I see where I stand. Like I've been like your best friend for years at this point. Like we're like 17, 18. I've known her since I was like 11. We've been friends throughout all this time through so much shit. And it's like, that's how I felt was you're choosing your girlfriend over me. And, maybe it wasn't exactly like that, but it certainly felt like that. And I remember just being so upset and so sad and like so pissed off at her. And like, I just didn't even want to talk to her. That's how frustrated I was. And I just remember like bawling and like crying in front of like uncontrollably so, like just sobbing. And like there's 5 fucking other people just like watching me uncontrollably cry. But it was lunchtime. So it was like, I couldn't go anywhere. Like there wasn't anywhere else to go. I could have gone to the bathroom, I guess, but I would have had to like navigate out of like the lunchroom and I just didn't want to deal with that either. So I just sat there and I cried for like the rest of the lunch period while everyone awkwardly like pretended like they didn't notice that I was crying.
Oh, that's...
And it
I'm
was just
sorry.
fucking awful.
I wish I could go back in time and be there and just hug you.
That would have been nice. I could have used the hug right then. And like many times after this time. But what really was a nice kick, like, or punch in the gut kind of thing is when graduation rolled around, she, for whatever fucking reason, felt like wanted to sit with me. And I was like, we haven't talked about any of our fucking problems or any of the shit that like transpired like a couple weeks ago. And yet you want me to sit with you now?
That's awkward.
Yeah, it was awkward. And I was just like, are you fucking kidding me? And I was just like, no. And I sat with her cousin, actually.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wait, the first friend?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Because she went to the same high school as we did. And was in our graduating year, too.
Do you know how the cousin felt about all this?
She knew a little bit of it, but I don't think she knew like the actual like extent of like all the damage.
Okay, I see.
She did ask me like why I wasn't sitting with her cousin, but I was like, don't want to talk about it. And she was like, all right. Mm-hmm. And then we just talked about like random stuff, pretty much like. But I figured I feel like she sensed that something was not right, but she didn't want to push it. So, which for that I was thankful because I was like, I don't really want to rehash this. And we tried for a while there, back and forth, figuring stuff out. And like another big blow was this graduation party that she was having. And one of my friends actually from California was visiting, and she knew that. I told her that. And I was like, I'm not really sure what we're going to be doing exactly. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it to the graduation party. But we ended up being able to do it, and I ended up coming early and like figuring stuff out. And the weird thing was that her mom was really pressed me to come to this and to actually be the one to like kind of get her away like from this party, because it was like a surprise kind of thing. I might be like meshing things together, her like birthday party and like her graduation party. I might be mixing those two up, but regardless, like her mom wanted me to come to this party and to be the person to like kind of keep her away from the party, so it was a surprise. And like I was like fully down for that plan. I was like, yeah, let's do that, cool. But then her girlfriend was the one to do that, which I really wasn't mad at that, but it was like her and her mom and I like kind of set up this thing, and like I was trying to get her like to feel her out and see like where she was and what she was doing, that kind of thing, without like giving away that this party was happening. And like her mom was trying to like set this whole thing up, and like it ended up her girlfriend did it anyway. And her mom had said things like she didn't really like that her girlfriend kind of like superseded what her mom wanted to do, and like that how her mom was kind of like lukewarm on my best friend's girlfriend, like at best, and they didn't really like her, like my best friend's mom didn't really like her girlfriend all that much. So it was just weird, and that was like a strange thing, because like there was some sort of expectation that I would be the one to do this thing, and then she came in, and I don't know, it was just weird. And then it got even weirder because my friend that I had from California, like we had all of our stuff like in my best friend's room, because I had stayed over my best friend's house forever and ever, like for so many times, like since we were kids, always slept in her room, always was able to keep stuff in her room, like for whenever I slept over. It was like never a problem. And then it suddenly turned into a problem. This one particular instance was a problem. And I think this actually was like a pool party during the summer. And I think the other thing was like a birthday party for her, I think. It's been a really long time. But yeah, we put our stuff in, and like the party kind of had started, and I forget what I had to get. Like I had to get something, and then my friend also had to get something like out of her bag. And we were told that like the whole party was told that we weren't supposed to go downstairs, but I kind of thought like, oh, well, this doesn't really apply to me because, well, I'm staying here. Like I was helping, like I was helping out. And also like I had been like in this person's house, for so long. And like, I really didn't see a problem with it. Like I thought that this was like, like I was kind of the exception to like this rule, which maybe sounds bad, but like given the circumstances and me knowing this person and knowing their family for years, I really didn't think it was an issue. And like we just had to get like one thing, and we were up like really, really quickly. And like her mom had like a huge problem with it, like a huge problem. And like also like my best friend had a huge problem with it. Like we like somehow like stepped over them and like weren't following their rules or whatever. And I was just like very confused by it, because I was like, okay, well, I understand if you didn't want like my friend going downstairs, like that I can see. And I was like, I'm sorry, like I should have asked that, like maybe that wasn't the right thing to do. But also like you've known me for years, like I didn't think that that was a problem at all. But they even had a problem with that. And I just was very like blindsided by that. Like why all of a sudden was this a problem? And I never really got clarification on that. And I just remember like her mom kind of like talking behind like my back about like that whole thing, that whole incident or whatever that happened. And I was like really super offended and just really heartbroken and upset over the fact that I've known this family for so long. Like I've gone to your Christmas parties. Like I've spent summers with you. I've spent weekends with you. Like you've known me for literal years at this point. And I don't understand. Like I just didn't, like why? And no one asked me my opinion about any of this really. Like it was very much like taking one side of the argument. I don't know. I just feel like if, for instance, if we had children, that I would want to get like our kid's side and then the other kid's side. Like if they had known this person for years and they had been in our house for years, like I would want to hear both sides of the story, not just one side of the story.
Right. Just because we're the parents of one side doesn't mean we're automatically going to take that side.
Exactly. Like I get that, you're supposed to care about your kid, but Like, your kid could be wrong. Like, you don't know.
Yeah.
And I know, I just felt very hurt by that. Because, you know, I was very close to this family. Like, super close. So, like, just all that was very, very painful and, like, hurtful. And that the distance only, like, grew after that kind of thing. And I just felt very, like, not, like, okay with a lot of that, like, just with everything that happened. And I felt like just very not seen, like, at all, or listened to. And it was just, and that like hurt, like, just really never went away. And it didn't help that we didn't really talk much about any of this. And there were just so much between us, like me and her, that like went unsaid. Like, and by the time we did start talking about things, it just didn't matter anymore. That I was done. I was over it. I was so burnt out and exhausted from, you know, trying to understand things or trying to like do mental gymnastics to like interpret like things without actually having to say anything. And it just, like, everything kind of fell to pieces, and like I wasn't prepared for that. And yeah, like, and I was the one to end it, basically, because I remember that there was like disagreements up to that point. It could have been this party, it could have been other things, I don't really remember. Like, I had asked her to talk about, like, I wanted to talk to her about like all of our stuff, like all of our relationship, all of our drama, all of just everything. I said that I really, really want to do this in person. I want to talk this out in person. I don't want to do it through text, because she often wanted to talk about things like through text message. And I was like, no, I want this to be like in person. Like, this is a really important conversation. I really want us to like be present, like completely present. And like, she agreed to it. We set a place and a time and everything, and she agreed. And I think a week went by, and I figured, oh, our plans are still on. In the back of my head, though, I knew that she would want me to like confirm things again. Mm-hmm. But I was like, I'm going to see. This is going to be a trial. This is going to be like a test. And so I went to the place where we were going to meet, and I waited, and it got to the time when we were supposed to meet. And I was like, where are you? And she was like, oh, I'm at this doctor's appointment with my mom. Like, my mom wouldn't let me get out of it. And I was like, is it a doctor's appointment for you? And she was like, no, it's for, I think she said it was either for her mom or her little brother. I don't remember which, but either way, she really didn't have to be there. And so I was like, okay, it's for like your mom. Why are you there? And she was like, oh, well, you know how my mom is. Like, she's just really difficult. And to be fair, her mom was pretty difficult a lot of the time with like a lot of things. So like, I knew that, but I was like, hey, I made this really, really clear that I wanted you to be here, that I really needed to talk to you about these things. And like, and I was just like, I'm sorry, but like, I'm really not willing to wait. And I'm really not wanting to hash this out anymore.
Didn't you say she was the one to originally make these plans?
I think I was the one to make these plans.
Oh, okay. I thought you said she set the date and time.
No, we did. We collectively did.
Oh, okay.
Like, we were talking, like, I was the one to be like, hey, we need to talk about things. And
she just agreed to the time.
And then we both agreed to like a time and a place.
Well, even so, she could have told you when she knew that she wasn't going to get out of her doctor's appointment. It wasn't until you reached out.
Yeah.
That's when she revealed where she was at. Yeah.
Like, she didn't tell me any of this beforehand. That either she had these plans to do it, or like that she couldn't get out of it. Like, she didn't tell me any of that until I texted her after the time had passed when we were supposed to meet, and she wasn't there. And I was like, the fuck? And she got mad at me. She got mad at me for being like, oh, like, you know, that's really unreasonable. Like, why can't you wait? Like, we'll meet at like 12 or whatever. And I was like, I think I actually waited like an hour. And I was like, okay, you better be done with your appointment. And then like, it went over, like her mom, like wasn't letting her leave, or like, or the doctor's appointment ran over or whatever. And like, I get it. That shit happens, but so much shit has happened up to this point where I was like, I was asking you for one thing. You know, I was at the end of my rope, and she couldn't even do that for me. So I stopped. Like, we went back and forth for a while, talking, and her thinking that I was like unreasonable, and me being like, well, you had all these chances and you could have texted me beforehand, but you didn't. Like, a lot of this is on you too. Like, this isn't just my fault. Like, there was a lot of like her blaming me for stuff, and that wasn't like, that just wasn't cool, and I wasn't really here for it. Yeah, that was when we just kind of stopped talking, and then eventually she crept back into my life a little bit.
She came crawling back.
Kind of. It was on, I don't remember what birthday it was, but it was one of the birthdays that me and you were staying in a hotel, and she texted me. She said, happy birthday. Well, she said specifically, hi, I don't know if this is still your number, but if it is, happy birthday. I'd really like to talk again. And since then, we've been in and out of each other's lives, really. Like she's tried to like reach out and do stuff, and like we have met up on occasion here and there, but you know, it's just not the same. It doesn't feel the same. Too much bad blood. And maybe she doesn't feel that way. She might not, but I certainly do. I feel like everything is still pretty unresolved. And there's so much pain associated with that, because, you know, she essentially like I just felt like everybody turned on me. Like her family, people we went to school with, like, and even her friends, like, that I had never met before, like in college and stuff, like knew about me and knew about these problems, and like knew, like, you know, she talked about me with all these people, and like they already had like preconceived notions and stuff about me, and that made me feel uncomfortable, because it's like I didn't get to say anything about myself. Like, I didn't get to be like my own advocate. Like, she was just not necessarily bad mouthing me, but basically setting the scene, and it made me look bad, because her college girlfriend like didn't like me either. And why? It wasn't for the same reason her high school girlfriend didn't like me. It was because I guess my, you know, ex-best friend, like must have said shit about me. Like, cause she wouldn't have gotten that from any other person, really. I don't know. It left a bad taste in my mouth. And like, then my best friend was like wondering like, oh, why won't you ever hang out with my friends? Well, it's like, well, it's cause they all fucking know that like our relationship kind of like fucking exploded, and I wasn't the only one that made it explode, you know, and I still feel like it's rather unresolved even to this day. I think it's worthy of noting that at this time, like around this time period of like our friendship exploding, like my ex-girlfriend also fucking left me. So it was not a good time for me. You know, and like our dog had died, and yeah, so there was yeah, it was a great time.
Shit.
Yeah, for real. Like, I really should have gone to therapy for all that shit, but like I didn't. Well, not that it was really an option on the table, really. Like, I really didn't even think to do that, and my parents didn't offer it or think to do it either. So, but in hindsight, yeah, I really should have fucking gone to therapy for all that. Instead, you became my therapist.
I'm fine with that, because look where we are now.
I mean, yeah.
And to be fair, you were also my therapist, so.
Yeah.
And we still are each other's therapists, kinda.
Yeah, kind of.
What would you tell your ex-best friend if they were listening right now? What would you want to say?
I guess I am happy for what we have, or what we had. I'm not particularly content with how our relationship is right now, but I also don't think that I would ever be capable of anything more, because of how much stuff had kind of went unresolved, and I just simply don't have the energy to put back the pieces. Maybe that isn't something that she'd like or would appreciate, but like the breakdown of our friendship was awful for me, and I feel like it severed something that we can never get back. And if we can't get back what we had, I don't think, for me anyway, it's worth trying.
I see.
Yeah. But yeah, I appreciate what we had, and I think about that stuff a lot.
Right.
And it was great, but ultimately it led to a pretty shitty time, and I would imagine both of our lives.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes, people just aren't meant to stay in your life.
Yeah, I think that's definitely
It's a sad
the
truth.
Yeah. It just sucks when it's someone you thought would always be there. You know?
Right. Yeah. That's definitely a pretty sad, disappointing truth.
Yeah. Like you had these expectations, but they got kind of thrown away.
Yeah, yeah. Not to try to pivot this, try to salvage some positivity in all this, but I'd like to give a shout out to my current circle of friends.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna shout you guys out because I hope you won't care, but if you do, then I'll go back and edit this and bleed this out. But shout out Bill, Donovan, and last but not least, Jeff, who I'm hoping to get onto the podcast
Ooh,
very
yes.
soon.
That would be wonderful.
If not the next episode. Because he, out of those three, is our mutual friend the most, I would say.
Yeah, like they're all our mutual friends.
But Jeff, we have a little bit of a stronger connection.
Yeah, we also have more history with Jeff.
Right, right.
Because we have, a lot of mutual.
We went to college together.
Yeah, lots of mutual, and also like mutual majors.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
like we were all comm majors.
Right, right.
And
I didn't mention, I put this in the description, but I didn't actually like verbally say it on the podcast last week, but it came out on his birthday, May 10th.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I'm saying it now. Happy birthday. Happy belated birthday, Jeff. And yeah, come on the podcast.
Please.
The ball is in your court, Jeff. Would love to do an entry all about college, our experiences with that, and the infamous laser story. With that, I will leave you all in suspense. I hope it was worth your time, because it was definitely worth mine. Until the next entry, keep wondering, keep wandering, and go all in.